The world outside Observatory Station 5 was dark except for the stars. Maya Chen sat hunched over her computer, the blue light reflecting off her tired face. For 3 years, she had looked for patterns in the noise from space, and for 3 years, she had found nothing unusual. Until tonight. Maya rubbed her eyes and checked the data again. The pattern remained the same, a sequence of pulses that repeated with perfect precision, too regular to be natural. Her hands trembled as she ran the verification program once more. "This can't be happening," she whispered to herself. The empty room didn't answer. Being the only scientist at this remote station, Maya had grown used to talking to herself. But right now, she wished desperately for someone to confirm what she was seeing. The signal contained something impossible, a mathematical solution to a problem that Earth's best minds had worked on for decades. It was elegant, perfect, and completely beyond current human understanding. And buried within it were what appeared to be coordinates, a meeting place among the stars. Maya's finger hovered over the red button marked Emergency Protocol. Once pressed, her discovery would be sent to Earth Command. There would be no going back. The world would change forever, and she would be responsible. She thought of her father's words from long ago. The greatest discoveries come with the greatest responsibilities. Taking a deep breath, Maya pressed the button. The next 24 hours passed in a blur. Sleep-deprived and anxious, Maya packed her few belongings while sending data package after data package to Earth. By the time the emergency transport arrived to bring her home, she had triple-checked everything. The alien signal was real. On Earth, Maya expected days of debriefing in some quiet government facility. Instead, she found herself standing before the United Earth Council barely an hour after landing. 12 stern faces stared at her from their elevated seats in the grand chamber. The room, with its high ceiling and ancient wooden panels, made Maya feel even smaller than usual. Her social anxiety flared as hundreds of eyes watched from the gallery. Maya had always struggled with crowds, preferring the quiet company of numbers and stars. Now the fate of first contact rested on her ability to convince these people. "Dr. Chen," began Chairwoman Okafor, her voice echoing in the hushed room, "you claim to have discovered evidence of intelligent extraterrestrial life. These are extraordinary claims." Maya nodded, her throat dry. "Yes, Madam Chairwoman. And you are absolutely certain this signal is not of human origin, not some forgotten satellite or classified project?" Maya straightened her shoulders. This was her area of expertise. Here, she could be confident. The signal contains a mathematical proof for the Lu Nakamura problem, she explained, her voice growing stronger. "This is a theoretical question that our best mathematicians have struggled with for generations. The solution in the signal uses approaches we've never even considered." She touched her tablet, and a complex equation appeared on the room's main screen. Furthermore, Maya continued, the signal includes what appear to be coordinates in deep space, along with timing markers. "It's an invitation." A murmur ran through the council chamber. "An invitation to what, exactly?" asked Councillor Zhu, leaning forward. "First contact," Maya replied simply. "Someone, something, wants to meet us." The room erupted into chaos. Officials shouted questions while security personnel moved closer to the council members. Amid the noise, Maya stood quietly, waiting. Chairwoman Okafor's voice cut through the din. Silence. When order returned, she fixed Maya with an intense stare. "Dr. Chen, what do you recommend?" Maya had prepared for this question during the long journey to Earth. "We should accept the invitation. Send a small team to the coordinates with appropriate safeguards. I volunteer to lead the scientific contingent." "That's insane," shouted Councillor Petrov. "It could be a trap. Or the greatest opportunity in human history," countered Councillor Ndiaye. "We cannot ignore this." As the debate raged around her, Maya realized that regardless of the council's decision, her life had already changed forever. She had crossed a threshold from which there was no return. 3 weeks later, Standing in the observation lounge of the hastily prepared spacecraft Curiosity, Maya watched Earth shrink to a pale blue dot. Beside her stood Commander Jackson and 5 other crew members, humanity's first ambassadors to the stars. "Scared?" Jackson asked, his weathered face showing concern. Maya nodded honestly. "Terrified, but also excited," he finished, a small smile breaking through his serious expression. "Me too." As the engines pushed them deeper into the unknown, Maya wondered what waited for them at those mysterious coordinates. Whatever it was, humanity would never be the same again. Maya pressed her forehead against the cold window, watching the stars streak by as the Curiosity traveled deeper into space. 2 months had passed since they left Earth, and sometimes she still couldn't believe she was here, leading humanity's first mission to meet an alien intelligence. The ship hummed quietly around her. At night, when most of the crew slept, Maya often came to this observation deck. The endless view of stars calmed her racing mind. "Still can't sleep, Doc?" a deep voice asked from behind her. Maya turned to see Commander Jackson approaching, his tall figure silhouetted against the dim corridor light. Even in the middle of the night cycle, he wore his uniform perfectly. "Too many thoughts," she admitted. "What if I'm wrong? What if I'm leading us into danger?" Jackson stood beside her, his eyes on the stars. "Then we'll face it together. That's why there are 7 of us, not just you." He was right. Their small crew represented Earth's best, a perfect balance of scientists, diplomats, and soldiers. Different backgrounds, different beliefs, but united by a historic purpose. "How much longer until we reach the coordinates?" Jackson asked, though he surely knew the answer. 3 days, 14 hours, Maya replied automatically. "If the aliens keep their promise, they'll be waiting." Jackson nodded. "The crew is ready. We've been training for first contact scenarios every day, though I doubt any simulation will match reality." "No simulation ever predicted I'd be here," Maya said with a small smile. On Earth, she had been known for her brilliance, but also for her awkwardness. She preferred numbers to people, patterns to conversations. Yet here she was, about to become humanity's first ambassador to the stars. Jackson glanced at her. "You're exactly where you need to be, Maya." No one else could have decoded that signal. No one else would have understood its importance. Before Maya could respond, a sharp alarm cut through the quiet. Red lights flashed along the corridor. "Contact." Lieutenant Dawes' voice came through the ship's speakers. "Massive object detected at bearing 045. Maya and Jackson exchanged a quick, concerned look before rushing to the bridge. The rest of the crew was already there. Engineer Kapoor, biologist Dr. Rodriguez, cultural specialist Joe, and security officer Martinez. "What do we have?" Jackson demanded, sliding into the captain's chair. Lieutenant Dawes, their navigation officer, pointed to the main view screen. "Sir," it appeared suddenly. One moment nothing. The next, this. The screen showed what could only be a ship, but its size made no sense. It was massive, easily thousands of times larger than the Curiosity, with a surface that gleamed with unknown metals and strange geometric patterns. Parts of it seemed to shift and move, as though the entire structure was alive. "That's impossible," whispered Dr. Rodriguez. "A structure that size would collapse under its own gravity." "Unless they have technology far beyond ours," Kapoor replied, her eyes wide with wonder and fear. Maya checked the navigation console. "Those are the exact coordinates from the signal. They're waiting for us." "We're being scanned," reported Kapoor suddenly, looking at her instruments. "Multiple energy beams passing through the ship. I've never seen readings like these." The crew tensed. Jackson's hand moved closer to the emergency protocols panel. "They're not harming us," Maya pointed out. "They're just looking, or deciding if we're worth harming," Martins muttered, hand on her sidearm. Suddenly, every screen on the bridge flickered. The ship's systems momentarily faltered, then returned to normal. On every display, the same message appeared in perfect English. Humans of Earth vessel, prepare for evaluation. A hushed silence fell over the bridge. Evaluation? Joe finally asked. What does that mean? Before anyone could answer, the massive alien ship began to change. A section of its gleaming surface opened like a flower, revealing a dark space within, large enough for the Curiosity to enter. It's an invitation, Maya said quietly. Or a trap. All eyes turned to Commander Jackson. The weight of humanity's future rested on his next decision. Jackson studied the alien vessel, then the faces of his crew. Finally, he nodded. Lieutenant Dawes, take us in. Slow approach. Be ready for emergency retreat. As the Curiosity moved toward the opening, Maya felt a strange mix of terror and wonder. She had spent her life searching the stars for signs of intelligence beyond Earth. Now, for better or worse, humanity was about to get its answer. The darkness of the alien ship swallowed them whole. The 7 humans stood in rigid silence, staring up at the towering aliens before them. The Vorax, as they had introduced themselves, loomed nearly 10 feet tall with exoskeletons that gleamed like polished obsidian. Each had 4 arms ending in 3-fingered hands and heads that resembled giant praying mantises, with compound eyes that reflected the humans in countless tiny mirrors. Maya tried to control her breathing. No amount of preparation could have readied them for this moment. After docking inside the massive alien vessel, they had been escorted through corridors that seemed to shift and change behind them, finally arriving in this vast chamber with its impossibly high ceiling and walls lined with unknown technology. Your species has reached a critical development stage, announced the Center Vorax, its voice translated by a device that hung in the air between them. The sound was eerily human yet distinctly artificial. Potential exists, but what kind? This must be determined. Commander Jackson stepped forward, showing remarkable composure. We come in peace, as representatives of Earth. We wish to establish friendly relations and share knowledge. The lead Vorax made a clicking sound that the translator didn't convert. All emerging species claim peaceful intentions. Words mean nothing. Actions reveal truth. The alien gestured with its upper right arm, and a holographic display appeared, showing images of Earth's history, wars, environmental destruction, but also healing, cooperation, and achievement. Your kind is contradictory, the Vorax continued. You will be tested. 7 trials for 7 humans. Pass, and we continue discussions. Fail, and containment protocols activate. Maya glanced nervously at her crewmates. Containment protocols, she asked. Prevention of further development, answered a different Vorax, this one with faint blue markings on its exoskeleton. For the safety of the galactic community. Before anyone could protest, the chamber changed around them. The walls receded, and they found themselves in what appeared to be a laboratory setting with strange equipment. First test begins now, announced the lead Vorax. Solve the puzzle before time expires. What followed was unlike anything the humans had experienced. The puzzle involved reorganizing energy flows through a complex system using principles that seemed to combine physics and mathematics in ways Maya had never imagined. As the designated scientist, the others looked to her for guidance. I don't fully understand this, she admitted frantically as precious minutes ticked by. Try, urged Engineer Kapoor. What does it remind you of? Maya studied the patterns. It's like fluid dynamics, but with energy instead of liquid. Working together, they managed to solve the first test just seconds before the deadline. The Vorax showed no reaction, simply moving them to the next challenge. Days passed in a blur of increasingly difficult tests. Some required physical endurance, others tested moral choices or problem-solving under extreme pressure. With each challenge, the stakes grew higher and the consequences for failure more painful. On the 5th day, they entered a chamber to find it bathed in an eerie purple light. Warning: radiation present. Martinez's handheld scanner beeped, increasing rapidly. A protective suit materialized in the center of the room. Just one. Final challenge. The Vorax voice announced. Solution requires accessing the control panel on far wall. Radiation will reach lethal levels in 30 minutes. Suit provides complete protection for one human only. Commander Jackson immediately took charge. Maya, you take the suit. You're the only one who can understand their technology enough to solve this. Maya shook her head. No, there has to be another way. She studied the room carefully. This isn't just a test of ability. It's a test of character. They want to see if we'll sacrifice each other. What do you suggest? Dr. Rodriguez asked, already showing signs of radiation sickness. We share the suit, Maya replied. Rotate its use. While one person wears it, they work on the panel. Then they pass it to the next person. We'll all get radiation exposure, Martins warned. But hopefully not a lethal dose for anyone, Maya countered. I think that's the point. They implemented the plan immediately. Each crew member took the suit for exactly 4 minutes, making as much progress on the control panel as possible before passing it to the next person. They worked methodically, combining their different expertise. As the radiation levels peaked, Lieutenant Dawes, wearing the suit, finally cracked the code. The purple light faded, and the radiation levels dropped to normal. The 7 humans collapsed to the floor, exhausted and sick, but alive. All of them. When the Vorax returned, their compound eyes reflected something new, something that might have been surprise. Unexpected approach, said the lead Vorax. Most species prioritize strongest individual. Maya, fighting through nausea, looked up at the towering alien. That's not how humans solve problems. Not at our best anyway. The Vorax's mandibles clicked rapidly. Final evaluation will now commence. The humans were led into a vast chamber unlike any they had seen before. The ceiling arched so high above that it disappeared into darkness, while the walls seemed to shimmer with a strange luminescence that changed colors subtly, like oil on water. In the center stood 3 Vorax, including the lead alien they had come to recognize by its distinctive markings. You have performed. Unexpectedly, the lead Vorax stated, its mechanical voice somehow conveying confusion. No species has approached the radiation test as you did. Maya stood at the front of the human group. Though still weak from radiation exposure, all 7 crew members had survived. Their faces were pale, and Engineer Kapoor leaned on Lieutenant Dawes for support, but they remained unified. Your tests are flawed, Maya said, her voice stronger than she felt. They're designed to reward selfishness and competition, but that's not what advanced civilization requires. The lead Vorax's head tilted, its compound eyes reflecting the humans in countless tiny mirrors. Explain. Maya stepped forward and activated her tablet. Using the mathematical language they had established during the tests, she projected a complex proof into the air between them. This demonstrates how your testing methodology selects for domination-oriented species, she explained. Species that prioritize individual survival over group success. But the truly advanced civilizations in Earth's history achieved greatness through cooperation, not competition. The Vorax became agitated, their limbs moving in quick, jerky motions as they clicked and chirped to each other in their native language. Commander Jackson moved to Maya's side. While you've been testing us, we've been learning about you too, he revealed. We've transmitted all test data back to Earth. This announcement caused even more distress among the Vorax. The lead alien stepped forward, its massive form looming over the humans. Impossible. Our shields prevent all transmissions. Martinez smiled grimly. Not if you understand quantum entanglement the way we do. It was a bluff. They had no such capability. But the aliens couldn't know that. The atmosphere in the chamber changed. The walls darkened, and the 3 Vorax seemed to deflate somehow, their postures becoming less imposing. The lead Vorax moved closer, then lowered its voice to a near whisper. You are correct, human Maya. Our evaluation system is deeply flawed, but not by accident. The alien looked around, as if checking for unseen observers, then continued. We are not evaluators. We are prisoners ourselves. The revelation hung in the air like a physical thing. The humans exchanged confused glances. What do you mean? Maya asked. The Vorax with blue markings stepped forward. Our homeworld was conquered 20 of your Earth years ago by an entity we call the Nexus. They do not communicate. They do not negotiate. They simply take. Our species now serves as unwilling scouts, the lead Vorax explained. We are sent to find developing worlds and evaluate their threat potential. Those that show too much promise are marked for immediate invasion. Those that seem cooperative and peaceful are scheduled for later harvesting of resources. You're saying your whole evaluation system is rigged? Dr. Rodriguez asked, horrified. Yes, admitted the third Vorax, speaking for the first time. It is designed to identify which worlds will fight back and which will surrender easily. Commander Jackson's face hardened. And Earth, what have you decided about us? The lead Vorax's compound eyes seemed to dim. It no longer matters what we decide. The signal your Dr. Chen responded to, it was not just a test. It was a beacon. Maya felt her blood run cold. A beacon. The Nexus monitors all signals we send. By responding to our mathematical challenge, Earth revealed itself as technologically advanced. They are already on their way. The chamber fell silent as the humans absorbed this terrible news. How long do we have? Jackson finally asked. 3 of your Earth weeks, perhaps less, answered the blue-marked Vorax. They move quickly once a potential threat is identified. Maya's mind raced through possibilities, each more desperate than the last. What kind of technology do they have? What are their weaknesses? They have conquered hundreds of worlds, each with different technologies and biologies. They adapt quickly. No single species has successfully resisted them. Then why tell us at all? Martins demanded. Why not just let us die ignorant? The 3 Vorax looked at each other. Then the lead alien spoke again. Because your approach to our tests was different. You showed cooperation we have not seen before. And some of us, it gestured to itself and its 2 companions, have grown tired of being instruments of conquest. You're risking yourselves by telling us this, Maya realized. Yes, but perhaps together, we might find another way. As the implications of this revelation settled over the human crew, Maya understood that everything had changed. This wasn't just about first contact anymore. It was about survival, not just for humanity, but possibly for many species across the galaxy. Tell us everything you know about the Nexus, she said. We need to warn Earth. Maya stood on the observation deck of the Vorax ship, watching as Earth appeared as a small blue dot against the blackness of space. After weeks of intensive work, they were finally approaching home. But they were not alone. Behind them, hidden by advanced cloaking technology, came 3 Vorax rebels who had chosen to help humanity. The Nexus fleet would arrive in less than 5 days. Your plan is insane, Commander Jackson said, joining her at the window. His face looked older now, lined with worry and lack of sleep. I like it. Maya smiled slightly. Sometimes insanity is the only rational response. After learning the truth about the Vorax and the approaching Nexus threat, Maya had proposed something no one expected. Instead of preparing Earth for a war it couldn't win, they would make Earth appear not worth conquering. Status report, Jackson asked. The communication array modifications are complete, Maya replied. The Vorax engineers have reprogrammed it to broadcast the deception signal as soon as we enter Earth orbit. The plan was elegant in its simplicity but incredibly complex in execution. Using the advanced technology of the Vorax ship, they would broadcast a signal that made Earth appear technologically primitive but biologically hostile to the Nexus. Instead of seeing a developing civilization ripe for conquest, the Nexus would see a planet filled with toxic biology that offered little value. Jackson nodded. And Earth's preparations. Governments worldwide have implemented the visual deceptions. Fake primitive settlements in key locations, manipulated electromagnetic signatures, and strategic dimming of power grids to hide our technological footprint. It had taken all of Maya's credibility and the direct testimony of their Vorax allies to convince Earth's leaders to take such drastic steps. For the past 2 weeks, humanity had been engaged in the largest coordinated deception in history. "We need to check on our guests," Jackson said. The approach to Earth might make them nervous. They made their way to a secure section of the ship where the 3 Vorax rebels had been living. The alien trio had committed treason against the Nexus by helping humans, knowing they could never return to their kind. The lead Vorax, whom the humans now called Siren, was working on final calculations when they entered. "The deception signal is ready," Siren announced, its translated voice sounding almost excited. "We have incorporated biological markers that the Nexus has historically avoided. Methane-based life signatures, radiation tolerance patterns, and toxic chemical compositions. Will it be enough?" Maya asked the question that had kept her awake for nights. "Unknown," Siren admitted, "but the Nexus values efficiency above all. They will not waste resources on a world that offers more risk than reward." As they approached Earth orbit, tension grew among both humans and Vorax. Everything depended on the next few hours. The Curiosity docked with the International Space Station, where Earth's military and scientific leaders waited. Maya watched through the viewport as Siren and the other Vorax emerged from hiding, causing gasps of shock despite all the preparation. "They're actually real," whispered General Okafor, the first human to shake Siren's alien hand. "And the Nexus is real too," Maya reminded them. "We need to activate the signal immediately." From the space station, they watched as the modified Vorax ship moved into position. When activated, it began broadcasting the complex deception signal, making Earth appear as a primitive, toxic world not worth the Nexus's attention. Hours passed in tense silence. The screens showed nothing unusual, but they knew the Nexus fleet was approaching, invisible to their technology. "Contact," announced a technician suddenly. Multiple objects entering the solar system. Massive energy signatures. On the main screen, strange ships appeared, unlike either human or Vorax design. They moved with impossible speed, approaching the outer planets. "They're scanning extensively," Siren reported, monitoring the signals. "Testing our deception." For 3 terrifying hours, the Nexus fleet moved through the solar system, probing and scanning. No one spoke. No one moved. Then, just as suddenly as they had appeared, the Nexus ships changed course. "They're leaving," Siren announced, its mechanical voice somehow conveying disbelief. The deception worked. Cheers erupted throughout the station. People hugged, cried, and laughed with relief. Even Jackson allowed himself a rare smile. But Maya remained quiet, watching the stars where the Nexus had disappeared. "This is just the beginning," she said finally. "They'll be back someday, or they'll find another world to destroy. We found allies." She gestured to the Vorax, "but also a new responsibility." She looked around at her human crewmates and their new Vorax friends, different in every way, yet united by courage and compassion. "Today we protected one world," she said. "Tomorrow we need to help free others." For the first time in her life, Maya Chen felt truly connected, not just to humanity, but to something larger, something that transcended the differences between species and reached for the stars not with conquest in mind, but with hope. As Earth rotated below them, beautiful and fragile, and for now, safe, Maya made a silent promise to the universe. Humanity had passed its first true test among the stars. There would be many more to come.